Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust, and I get fairy dust, and Amelie gets fairy dust. And I did an Instagram post about this, which, can I link it? Maybe so. Maybe you don't need it, but I did post about it, so I'm repeating myself, so you could just flip on to the next video if you want. But I wanted to talk about, so Warden's tasks of mourning, the first task is to accept the reality of this loss. And I will be teaching you a lot more of that. I would say that accepting the reality of the loss is less of something, it's a task, but it's not like, okay, let me just think about accepting it. It's something that happens to you, and it happens over time, because the reality of the loss is really enormous and very difficult to comprehend, which is why you feel like you're in such a different world in the beginning. You feel lost, you feel numb, you feel life doesn't even seem real. It's very strange what happens to us when we grieve. But the reason I'm bringing up task one is that one of the ways, so if you wanted to, if you think about it, and if you wanted to maybe push yourself a little bit, sometimes, not all the time, you can use the words death, dying, died, dead, instead of, everything I'm saying is hard. Like, everything I'm saying is hard. And I don't know if you noticed, but as I was saying those things, as I was saying death, dying, dead, it's a taboo. Like, it's socially unacceptable. So it's actually very difficult to say these things. So because I find Warden's tasks so helpful, I think about this a lot. And when I say, you're like, what, saying those words as opposed to what? As opposed to so-and-so passed away, or I lost this person. So we use euphemisms because those words are so hard to say, and they're very taboo. Death, dying, dead. My husband died. My child died. Like, this is very, very, very hard to say. And so, one of the things that I do when I first meet somebody who is grieving is I, as the counselor, use those words intentionally, even though it's actually uncomfortable, because again, the social taboo is not to say these things. But, you know, a peek behind the curtain, as a counselor, we're taught this is a way to help your clients by using these kinds of words. Of course, if well, you don't need to know how I do my therapy, but I just wanted you to get a glimpse into why I think it's helpful and why I use those words. And sometimes people ask me to stop using them because it's too hard, too painful, and I think that's exactly right, because you must trust your grief process. You must trust your grief. And if those words are too hard, do not use them. And I also want to say that, and there are cultures in which actually uttering those words it's not just taboo, because when I say taboo, it's like, oh, society doesn't like it, but we're going to do it anyway. There are actually cultures where it actually would be inappropriate to do, and that it's actually not about not accepting a reality of the loss. And if you decide, let's say that it's in your culture to say them, not in our culture as a whole, because again, it's taboo, but if you are okay with trying it, I would pick and choose the people that you say it around. And you might notice, wow, people are really uncomfortable when I say so-and-so died versus so-and-so passed away, or we just don't even talk about it. But you'll find it's actually hard for you to say. Again, that's part of, because it's like we're in society, we're not socialized to say these words. And also, I want to say that if you're watching this and you're like, yes, Elizabeth, thank you, I will take this under consideration, and that you never say dead, death, dying, dead, whatever, trust that it's not for you. If it doesn't resonate with you, if it and it could resonate with you cognitively, like you can be relating to me, maybe you're a coach or a therapist, or maybe you can just, if you are grieving, it's going to be hard, but maybe you can relate to this, or like, oh, I'm grieving. Yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense. And then you turn around to try to say it, and you can't. Trust that. Trust that. So again, this isn't about me being, let me make myself perfectly clear. This is not about should. I don't think people should say these things if they don't feel comfortable saying them. All I'm saying is that a way to try to do that first task of accepting the reality of the loss, a way to do that is use words, those hard words. But again, saying passed away is also hard. I mean, that's also accepting the reality of the loss. But I just wanted to offer it as a tool to see if it would be helpful. And if it's not helpful, throw that shit away. But if it is helpful, I am so glad that I was able to share it with you if it is helpful. If you have any questions for me, or if you have any comments or anything, or if I mentioned that we're going to be going through the Grief Day by Day book by Jan Warner, just as a prompt for things to talk about. But I'll dip in and out when I feel like it's will be helpful, and also we'll be talking about the tasks through that book. So I hope that was helpful. And it's so funny because I'm a fawn, which means I'm a super duper codependent. And I feel myself wanting to say, don't say those words, they're too hard. And we can do hard things. And so, again, I hope that was helpful. Ask me anything. Love you. Bye.